Today we're talking about Saudi Arabia's $500 billion gamble. And yeah, you heard that right. This is one of the most ambitious, most expensive projects in human history. We're looking at a plan to pivot an entire nation away from oil and build something that looks like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie, right in the middle of the desert.
Okay, to really wrap your head around the kind of scale we're dealing with here, you've got to hear this story. Remember back in the 2022 World Cup when Saudi Arabia had that insane, shocking win against Argentina? Well, right after that, a rumor just exploded everywhere that the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, gifted every single player on the team a brand new Rolls-Royce. Now look, it was never officially confirmed, but the fact that everyone believed it could be true, that tells you everything you need to know about the unimaginable wealth and, the flair for these huge grand gestures.
And that flair, that bigness, it really brings us to the man at the absolute center of this whole thing. Mohammed bin Salman, or MBS, as pretty much everyone calls him. He's the Crown Prince, the de facto ruler of Saudi Arabia, and make no mistake, he is the single architect behind this massive, nation-altering vision.
So if you want to understand where his power comes from, you got to look past his personal bank account. I mean, don't get me wrong, his personal fortune is estimated at a staggering $25 billion, but that's not even the main story. The real story is the collective wealth of his family, the House of Saud. We're talking $1.4 trillion. So his power isn't just about his money, it's about his control over the entire nation's resources and this just immense family fortune.
Okay, so to really get what MBS is trying to do with his vision, we have to take a step back and look at what his kingdom is built on. And for almost 100 years, it's been all about one thing, one single source that is both its greatest power and its biggest vulnerability. And that, of course, is oil.
You see, all that incredible oil wealth created this kind of unwritten rule, a really unique social contract. It basically goes like this. The people of Saudi Arabia give their loyalty to the ruling family, the Al Sauds, and in return, the family guarantees them economic prosperity. I mean, think about this. Guaranteed government jobs, huge subsidies, and for the longest time, zero income tax. It's a deal that has kept the whole kingdom stable for decades.
But here's the catch. That entire social contract, the whole thing, has always been completely dependent on oil. Just how dependent? Well, get this. Oil makes up a whopping 90% of the country's exports. It's 80% of the government's budget, and it's 40% of the entire GDP. The whole system, every part of it, is powered by black gold.
And for decades, this has given them a huge strategic advantage. It costs Saudi Arabia somewhere between just $5 and $10 to get a barrel of oil out of the ground. Now, compare that to, say, $33 in the US or $54 in Canada. It's not even close. This incredibly low cost is what gives them so much power and so much profit on the world stage.
So this leads to the big one, the existential question that kind of haunts the entire kingdom. It's the question that drives every single decision MBS is making. What happens when the oil runs out? Or maybe even scarier, what happens when the world just doesn't need it anymore? The very foundation of their wealth, their power, their stability, it's all based on something that won't last forever. So how on earth do you solve a problem that big?
Well, the answer they've come up with is a plan so big, so audacious, it honestly sounds like it's straight out of a science fiction novel. It's called Vision 2030. And it's basically a national blueprint to completely rewire the entire Saudi economy and society for a world that doesn't run on oil.
And the crown jewel, the flagship project of this whole vision, is something called NEOM. It's a futuristic megacity being built literally from scratch out in the desert. And the price tag? A jaw-dropping $500 billion. And that's probably just the starting price. That one number, $500 billion, tells you everything you need to know about the scale of their ambition.
So what exactly does $500 billion get you? Well, how about this? A 170-kilometer-long city made of mirrored skyscrapers called The Line. Or a floating, 8-sided industrial city called Oxagon, focused on robotics and AI. Oh, and a futuristic mountain resort called Trojana, where you can ski all year round. And, why not, a luxury island destination called Sindala. I mean, this isn't just urban development, this is more like trying to build a whole new civilization.
Okay, so the big question, how are they paying for all of this? The system is actually pretty simple, but it is incredibly powerful. Step 1, the state oil company, Saudi Aramco, makes just colossal amounts of money. Step 2, all those profits get funneled into what's called the Public Investment Fund, or the PIF. The PIF then takes that cash and invests it in companies all over the world. We're talking everything from Uber to huge video game studios. And here's the key. MBS controls both Aramco and the PIF. So it's basically a direct pipeline from oil profits straight into funding his wildest futuristic dreams.
But a vision this huge, this grand, is always going to run into some hard realities. And the challenges facing Saudi Arabia's transformation, they're turning out to be every bit as massive as the ambitions themselves. Yeah, that gap between the slick marketing videos and the on-the-ground reality, it's getting pretty clear. For one, the estimated cost for these futuristic cities is something like 25 times the entire national budget. Reports are coming out that key projects are facing delays, and the whole plan really depends on attracting massive amounts of foreign investment, which, well, might not show up. On top of all that, even their efforts to control oil prices to keep the cash machine going have kind of struggled against the whims of the global market. So when you add all these challenges up, they all point to one thing. To survive this transition away from oil, the kingdom has to completely rewrite that original social contract we talked about. The old deal, guaranteed wealth in exchange for loyalty, it's just not going to work anymore. It's not sustainable. So, what's the bottom line here? What can we take away from this absolutely incredible story? What are the big lessons from Saudi Arabia's massive, high-stakes gamble on its own future? Let's break it down into 3 key ideas.
All right, lesson number 1, resourcefulness matters a whole lot more than just having resources. See, it's not enough to just have oil. It's all about what you do with the money from that oil. And Saudi Arabia isn't just selling crude. They're using those profits, through the PIF, to strategically buy up influence and build brand new industries from the ground up. It's actually a masterclass in being resourceful.
Okay, lesson number 2. This one is, well, it's a bit more complicated. MBS is an autocratic ruler, right? He's not a democratically elected leader. But that kind of centralized absolute power lets him push through radical change at a speed that would be literally impossible in most other countries. For him and for this whole project, the end goal is achieving those bold, transformative results, and the system is just the way to get there.
And finally, lesson number 3. We circle right back to what might be the most important idea of all. The social contract is everything. At its heart, this entire gamble is about that contract. The old one was simple: we give you wealth. The new one has to be about providing opportunity, entertainment, a sense of national pride, a vision for the future. And whether MBS succeeds or fails, it's all going to come down to one thing. Can he convince his people that this new deal is worth it?
And that leaves us with one final monumental question. This whole $500 billion gamble, this plan to build sci-fi cities in the sand and completely rewrite a nation's identity, it all boils down to this. In a world after oil, who is Saudi Arabia going to be? Are they going to be an innovative new powerhouse? Or will they just be a desert kingdom that simply ran out of time? The whole world is watching to see what happens next.